seagulls follow the trawl. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you.
And as we say now in my country, they brought the buzz and they left the buzz in front of the goal.
And the guy's talking absolute nonsense. Never heard so much rubbish in my life.
Normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
I'm telling you, don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Here we go. We've done it again. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. And the Monday Club on a Tuesday, the Tuesday Club on a Monday, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to call it. It's fine. We're here now. And that means, Johnston, we're one day closer to Sunday. TikTok.
TikTok. That's a very good word to use, TikTok, Russell, because the countdown clock is ticking on Michael Beale, very much like that game show countdown. And there's quite a few similar analogies you could pick from that game show when you're looking at Celtic and Rangers. When you're looking at the numbers going into a game like this, the numbers are pretty much level pegging, you could say. Although when it comes to Ange Postecoglou, he is doing a little bit better with the sums. You know, Michael Beale's kind of plodding along and picking out the obvious solutions to get to the numbers you need on countdown. Whereas Ange Postecoglou is very much someone that will think outside the box and get those extra points. When you're looking at the letter round, the writing is very much on the wall for Michael Beale, I would say. And, you know, as that clock continues to tick-tock closer to the buzzer where they have to come up with the conundrums, there's 2 9-letter conundrums, Russell Boyce, that Ange Postecoglou and Michael Beale have to work out. The 9-letter word that Ange Postecoglou has to try and figure out the answer to, Russell, is desperate. Desperate Mickey Beale, because he is in dire straits and in desperate need of a result in this fixture. He has been talking this club up from the moment he walked in the door. It's now time to put up or shut up, Mickey. So we're looking forward to seeing how that plays out. On the other side of the fence, you have Mickey Beale trying to work out a totally different conundrum. And this conundrum is another 9-letter word, Russell, and it is simply put champions. Because since
very good
the league title last season, Russell, Rangers have yet to get the better of Celtic since they held the league trophy aloft last May. They've had 2 attempts. They got absolutely battered in one of them. Now, granted, Mickey Beale wasn't in the building for that one, as he likes to point out. However, the players remain the same, and Celtic have proven they can get the results. And then even when they did have their opportunity at Ibrox, they still couldn't get the job done. And it's a conundrum that is just ticking ever closer to decision day for Mickey Beale. We're about to find out which manager has worked out the conundrum of the other, because it's been level pegging for weeks, but something is about to give in Glasgow on Sunday, and I believe it is going to be the champions that come up on top over desperate Dan. Sorry, I mean Michael Beale.
Well, that's the Monday Club finish. That's 10 o'clock, lads. So have a good night. Thanks for that, Jonathan. That was an easy shift for me, mate. Very good, very good. And I think you are sounding more like Jim White every week, by the way. It's quite funny. But anyway, that was all good. A bit of passion in there as well, says Celts on the Hill. He's right. Right, okay. We will do all that good stuff, and then we will talk about that. I didn't even know what to make of that press or those photos, Jonathan. It actually caught me off guard today, and I thought, am I seeing that? Has that been photoshopped? That's what I had thought, but we'll talk about that in a wee second. All that good stuff. Hit subscribe if you've not already. Hit the like button, get us all that traction, all that algorithm, all that good stuff. If you want to become a Bhoycie Bus member, like Paul Diet, Balls to the Walls, Alistair Jack, Gary Brown, Celts on the Hill, Stevie Kenny. It's totally optional. The content will always be free, but it's just a wee doff of the cap to the bus, and it keeps the wheels on the road, essentially. Not that I would be recommended to be an actual holder of a driving license. Do you think that'd be a bad idea, don't you?
No, I don't think that'd be a very good idea. No, I don't think that'd be a very good idea. You just like being the shotgun driver. That's
shotgun driver, mate. Yeah, that suits me fine. Right, I mean, we will get stuck into it in a wee second, but ahead of the PieSports.com Cup Final on Sunday. Oh, so what's it called? Viaplay Cup.
It's not going to quite the same ring to it, does it?
PieSports.com Cup Final sounds much better. And what a set of champions they are at PieSports.com. Do make sure you check out their site, obviously, at PieSports.com. Use the code BUS1888. That is BUS1888. And you get 12.5% off your orders. And, of course, the orders keep coming in, Jonathan, for the B. I am told yesterday, a little exclusive on the B podcasts, B shirts, which are already ordered. Thanks to our association, of course, with Hard Barber. They've been ordered already. They are getting closer, mate. He just wants to make sure the collar is that exact cotton material that me and him discussed. He says, I'm very confident it's going to work because you're going to be buzzing with this. So, you know, it's going to be exciting times. Once we're all in the B's in the studio, I think folk will be like, eat me one of them. Right, okay. That instant image, Jonathan, that we've seen today of Postecoglou looking really short for some reason as well. Like he was sitting like he did not want to be there. Right, let's get that right. He's like, what is this all about? Why in Scotland they're out of complicate fucking everything, mate? What are we doing? Mickey Beale trying to look totally composed, and I think he was trying a wee bit of alpha maleness in terms of the imagery. However, Jonathan, this man's tone just seems in the past week to have, you know, he's starting to sort of talk about the prospect of defeats, isn't he? Suddenly he's not the guru that he was, you know, when I came in with Stephen, you know, and since I've been back, and, you know, it was all about a Mickey Beale production, basically. You would have thought Rangers were when it was someone else that was in charge of them when they last won the league. He now seems to be talking about the potential of, you know, if we lose, I mean, who tell him to say lower than a snake's belly? What that? Get that power in the bin. That's just shite, right? But when he's talking about that, you're going, reality does bite sometimes. Like, and I think it's he's like the closer Sunday gets, the more he is now sort of aligning his mind around the idea of potentially we might get beat. You can see it in him, and this is what happens. He's had a good run at it, Jonathan. He had the home game with us. They had the home game with us where they had to win. He doesn't. He carries all the favour in the world. And even then, he gets this League Cup final opportunity. They've earned that right to be in there as much as we have. But if there's one team they didn't want in the final, really, it's us. Let me assure you. The form we are on is unreal right now. Now, don't take anything for granted. Things can go the other way. But if you forget who it is we watch in the media reporting on all this, and you were a non-Scottish football fan, you looked at the two clubs' form, their records, and then watched some clips of us playing, watched some matches of us playing in recent past few weeks. There's one team you'd be expecting to win. One. And that's not me being biased. That, for me, is the reality.
Yeah, I think they're trying to backtrack a little bit. Michael Beale's done a lot of talk, and it has been a lot of talk. But Sunday is the time to put up or shut up. And as I said at the top of the show, he is beginning to look like a desperate man. I think for Michael Beale, he is needing this result badly. He knows a lot hinges on Sunday from a Rangers perspective, because he's almost already conceded the league last week, which was rather hilarious on his part. I think he was expecting Celtic to drop points, and in fairness to him, he's not done an awful lot wrong in terms of results over at Ibrox. Just simply put, Celtic have been better. It's one of those things, Michael. You can't always stop a runaway train or a runaway bus or whatever you want to call it. But when you're looking at Celtic, they are just looking like a team possessed at the moment. I think Michael Beale, behind the scenes, his comments will have rallied our dressing room even more. I think Postecoglou has probably got a bit more bite in him. I think Postecoglou actually didn't mind Gio. You know that. I think he got on quite well with Gio. I think Van Bronckhorst didn't really rub him up the wrong way too much, and he probably felt a wee bit sorry for him at times when he was spanking him about the place. But I think
you would do it.
I think
pat him on the head going, sorry, mate.
No, the day, unlucky wee man. Better luck next time. Ruffle up the wee head. You tried really hard today, son, but we were just that little bit better. But I think when he looks at Beale, I think the fact Beale has went so studs up on Celtic over the last 3 or 4 weeks, he cannot help but bring Celtic into every conversation he's having at the moment.
Why is he doing it though? What he's trying to do, right? He's trying to position this so he's got a quote that will work, whatever it is what that happens. You go, well, I said we were on as good a form in them if they were to do the unthinkable and win on Sunday, right? And he'll go, I've told you already, I've got confidence in the team, and I thought we'd been as good as form as Celtic have, and none of you believe me. But he's also positioned his argument that, I knew we would be feeling low if we didn't win today, and I've complimented Celtic loads. He's just positioned himself so he can't look like a prat. That's what but unfortunately, that has been done. All the talk, what he's trying to do, with the narratives that he's trying to force out, is cover every base. It's so obvious. It's basic stuff, Jonathan. This is rookie manager stuff. Someone who's out of depth a wee bit. In terms of the media side, now what I would say is, in your first 30 games as a manager, or 35 games, however many times he's been in charge of a football team, you would expect a wee bit of an experience in these situations. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, of course.
And I get that, but I think it is a bit telling. And I think once he was in the room beside Ange, I think when I looked at those eyes, they were just that wee bit bigger than they normally are, Jonathan. He was trying to sit with the back up straight and look all poised and in control. But those eyes told me a different story. I thought he looked like he was sitting beside his master, Jonathan, and that is Mr. Postecoglou, the boss in Scottish football.
Yes, well, Postecoglou has proven over the last year just how good a manager he is. Mickey Beale still has a long way to go before he proves just how good or otherwise a manager he is. But Sunday is going to be a key moment in determining just how good a manager he is, because Rangers, for me, as I say, they need to win. It's as simple as that, because Celtic are already on course for the league. It looks very unlikely we're going to get stopped there. If Celtic were to win the League Cup, which it's looking likely from my perspective anyway, that Celtic will win on Sunday because of the form they've been in and the fact they're just free scored, and it's just the fact they've got a far better squad than Rangers as well. The strength and depth of Celtic should be enough to get them over the line. Then if Celtic win on Sunday, all of the pressure becomes a Scottish Cup for Rangers. All of the pressure becomes a Scottish Cup, because then Michael Beale could be in charge of the unthinkable, of Celtic doing yet another domestic treble, and that would be under his watch when all of the trophies were handed out. And whether you can argue he's been unfortunate in the fact he did inherit the 9-point deficit or not, the cups, he didn't inherit any deficit in. And if Celtic were to go and win the League Cup and then go on to win the Scottish Cup, then he's had a disastrous first season at Rangers. So I look at that. And
Jonathan, you're absolutely right. The one thing we know about how supporters work, and we've been guilty of it as well. I've spoke about the hypocrisy I find that for example, the sack the board, 80 days or whatever it was outside with a different number of days on the banner and all that. Sharkgate, the boards play musical chairs. Peter Lawwell comes back and nobody's got a problem anymore because we're winning football games. That's all that matters, really. And I think you'll be amazed if you were to lose Sunday, that then comes with a second thing. That means you fall further behind in the league, because they will, right? That's it. Once the wheels come off, that's what happens. Do you know what I mean? And we'll push further clear in that. And as you say, then they've got that intense pressure of a cup final, or not a cup final, a cup run to the final. That is literally their whole season dependent on. Suddenly it'll turn into, he was in charge 23 at 38 league games as well. The whole of the Scottish Cup run. He missed the League Cup second round or something maybe? Or was he in charge of all those games? Suddenly this is on you, mate, if you've not winning any of them. And it will, that's not our, we've got to be real though and look at this then. Whilst it's great to point score against them and have a wee bit of fun, we've got to look at it from our point of view. And this is what I was saying in the group chat this morning, right? I was saying, this game is massive, right? Massive. From a Celtic perspective, as this is the game where you do the underlining of Ange's dominance, right? This is where you start proving all the stuff that we see, all the stuff that we read from a Celtic perspective that say, this guy, greatest thing since sliced bread, yada, yada. Sunday's a day to underline that. It's where you go, tell you. Do you know what I mean? And whilst I'm very confident of that happening, it also is important that it does. Don't give this lot an inch, Jonathan, and going into the summer feeling, if we got a chance here, I was suggesting in the group chat, to be honest, if they see a chink of light, for example, right, and they've got a trophy in the cabinet, right, some muppet might put their hand in the pocket for them this summer again, right, because they'll go, oh, no, they're not that far away. Don't give them anything that looks even remotely tangible, Dave King, on being close to us. We want to underline our dominance right now. I'm just going to give a wee shout out here to Grayson Hesseldine. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He says, you're a shambles, but I love you. He's been watching from Brisbane since episode 1.
Wow.
That's class. And Grayson, I've never seen your name in the comments once, mate. So just for actually getting involved. Good to have you on. But no, I appreciate that, mate. Nice one. But you know where I'm coming from with that, Jonathan. It's like, whilst it's very easy to go off, how bad would it be for them? I also think there comes a point in time, if we are as dominant as what we think, now, look at it, domestically, what is it, 62, 63 games, 1 defeat in?
Yeah.
You've got to have the trophies to back up that run, otherwise, do you know what I mean? It's all for nothing. So that comes with League Cups as well. That is how we are sort of viewed at Celtic. That's how you're judged. And it'll be on trophies. So Ange knows as well, whilst it's easy to say it's must win for them, for Ange as well, it's important to underline this era that we've had already. And that's what you could call it now, because we're nearly, at the 2-year spot? What did he win in that time? If it turns into 2 League Cups in a row, and obviously we're thinking the league's looking closer and closer to be getting confirmed. I mean, that's then starting to look like, fucking hell, we were dominant, whether we win the Scottish Cup or not. But before you know it, your confidence is brown and you go and take care of that anyway. But I think that's why, I think Sunday's, from a Celtic perspective, don't be fooled as to how important it is for us to make sure we've got our name on that trophy as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there is a massive significance from a Celtic perspective as well. And I think there's more than just silver. We are on the line. It's almost like a psychological point-scoring one, this one as well, because, whatever way it goes, it's going to lead the narrative in the Postecoglou-Beale rivalry going forward, because, at the moment, the media can quite easily portray it as, being very much level pegging, considering, both teams have won all of their games going into this. And they obviously had the draw at Ibrox, and that, if we're just looking at it purely on the results without scratching the surface, you could turn around and say that does mean the two teams are exactly evenly matched up. If you don't do any digging and you were from an outsider just looking in, you'd be thinking, Christ, this could go either way. That's not what we expect to happen. However, if Rangers were to win on Sunday, God forbid, then that does create that sort of narrative there that perhaps Beale is going to get the better of Ange Postecoglou, despite it only being 2 games in that they've played against each other. The manager that draws first blood is going to have a key part to play in the coming games that are going to be played out between now and the end of this season, and could very much well set the market even going in as far as next season, a game like this, because it's going to be the first trophy that's going to be determined since Michael Beale came into Ibrox, and it's simply going to be either going to Parkhead and staying with us, or it's going across the city to Ibrox and giving them some oxygen and belief that even if they can't claw us back in the league this season, that we can still be caught, you know, in following seasons, and, you know, they could potentially still give them a boost to go on and win the Scottish Cup as well. And all of a sudden, you know, if Celtic were to finish the season with only the league title, I think you'd almost be looking at that and thinking, oh, that was a missed opportunity, given the fact we're in a League Cup final, given the fact we're out of Europe in the first half of the season, and given the fact we've had such a big points gap in the league, that we've not been able to capitalise on the Cups as well. So I think when you're taking all of that into consideration, I think, of course, Ange has to look at it as another opportunity to bring some silverware home. I think he's most certainly got his eyes on the treble this season, given the fact Europe didn't go the way we wanted it to. But I think he's also, Russell, going to have one eye on, you know, getting that psychological marker put down on Rangers, because he's had them in a bit of a vice grip since he came in. You know, he's not lost them in 90 minutes since his very first derby. Now, granted,
That's right.
of course, he could lose this one outside the 90 because it's a cup final. But, you know, every game that Postecoglou's been involved with Rangers, Celtic have either ran away with, or it's been very close, and Rangers have either just won it or it's been a draw. Rangers have never actually, you know, put Ange Postecoglou's Celtic to the sword at any point. Even in his first game, when a lot of the players, you know, were checking out, Celtic could have very easily got a result that day, and that's probably Rangers' most convincing win under Postecoglou, you know, since Postecoglou's came in, and that wasn't really his team. So I think, you know, if he is able to, you know, manage and navigate another Celtic win, particularly if it does turn out to be one of these occasions, which he has proven he's capable of, by the way, where Celtic go and put him on a convincing performance and get a convincing victory, then I think that already sets a marker down on Beale, and I think that could be a long way back for Rangers if Celtic approach this correctly and get the job done, which they've proven, you know, twice at Celtic Park in the last couple of years they can do to them.
Well, absolutely. And this is the thing. This way we're all guilty in football, right? And don't get me wrong, myself very much included. It's so easy to focus on the ramifications for them. But our season, for me, Jonathan, was we look at it as a 3-trophy domestic season, which I still think many fans prioritise above Europe. Okay, that's fine. We went out of Europe, and then you've got the excuse already. Didn't care. It's all about domestic dominance. It's only second season. Okay, then you've got to do the domestic dominance bit, and that's my trophy. So we've got to look at it from our point of view as well and be a wee bit self-aware of the situation we find ourselves in, which is a good one. It looks healthy. It's just you now need the dominance. I know, and that I've seen in the, you know, since the bus has been up and running, really, almost every week's been a joy to come on here. Do you know that? And talk about how Celtic have been playing, the run that we're on, etc. It's been fascinating to see how far we've came. But that will only be rubber stamped with trophies. That's how it's validated. You'll never, ever go, remember that time we lost one game in 62 under Ange? Tell me what we won. So the trophies that were in that.
The one that we lost was the one that mattered in the cup final. That's the first thing people remember. They're going to be like, well, yeah, we won 61. How many else do you remember? But we remember the one we lost. You know what I mean?
That is a good point.
Throw all the stats you want at it, but at the end of the day, stats aren't what people tend to look back on with fond memories. It tends to be more what silverware is actually won during that period. Of course, it's nice to have statistics to back things up. But, you know, at the end of the day, if Rangers were to end up winning the League Cup, they wouldn't give a fuck about the fact that they've, you know, not been able to put together a 64-game unbeaten run or whatever it is to actually get to the fact they've won the League Cup. And, you know, if it was the roles were reversed and we were in that position, we wouldn't care either. It's all just about winning on the day. And that's what makes it such a big game, because, you know, there is actual silverware on the line on this one. And it's the first time that Celtic and Rangers have competed in a cup final, I probably think since that 2019 League Cup final, I would imagine. I don't think we've competed with
we're
them
focusing on
since,
that on Friday, aren't we?
which is going to become the focus on Friday. I don't want to steal Phil's thunder too much because
No.
I'm sure he's done plenty of preparation for that, and I'm looking forward to being on that one on Friday with Phil. But, you know, the stakes are always a lot higher when it comes to the fact you're playing them in a cup final. It means even more than just your standard league game at times. And, you know, this one's huge because of the fact that, you know, Beale can make his arguments, which he has done. I think, you know, a lot of people are questioning whether or not he's got that right. But, you know, it's all going to come back around to what happens on the pitch on Sunday. And, you know, from a Celtic perspective, if Celtic can go about their business the way that they have done, you know, really particularly since they came back from the World Cup, I think we've really kicked it up a gear since we came back from that break. If Celtic can go into the game and show that same level of performance that they've shown they're capable of, then I cannot see anything other than a Celtic win, and I wouldn't be overly surprised if it turns out to be a bigger win than many might anticipate, with it being at Hampden. But I mean, the only concern for me, Russell, I'm going to throw this to you as well, is Kyogo is somebody I've mentioned, you know, a couple of times in these derby games that for me, I think he's still to have a big performance against him. I know he got his goal the last time, but you've got to remember both strikers were on the pitch by the time he did get that goal at Ibrox, and, you know, it turned out to be a vital goal because it saved us a point. For me, Kyogo tends to get ruffled up a bit, and I kind of feel we're going to be relying quite heavily on our wingers, which, you know, isn't a bad thing, because our wingers, we've got so many options there that they can produce so much quality against Rangers. But there's a wee nagging with me that Kyogo can sometimes get bullied a little bit in a game like this, and that's where you can sometimes benefit from having Giakoumakis in the squad. Now, I don't want to go over the Giakoumakis argument, because I feel we've had that quite often enough. But would you feel comfortable? Would you feel comfortable, though, if it's not working out for Kyogo? Because we've seen it happen in derbies previously where it's not really happening for him. Would you be comfortable with going in? I know he obviously got 90 minutes. Well, not 90 minutes. He started, the game at the weekend there. So he has had a bit more minutes in the tank. Would you feel is ready for a game of this magnitude now from what you've seen of him?
I mean, let's be honest, it's far too early to judge. He got the start for minutes at the weekend there, and it was important to, just in case, what Kieran's coming in the comments, Kieran's saying, Kyogo gets clattered in the first 5 minutes. You need to have two strikers, Johnston. I don't think he would actually opt for as the second choice, but if you're down to Maeda, then you need for back up to that. Do you know what I mean? He's got to be there. You can't put a batter through the middle in one of these games, mate. Like, just no. But that means it was imperative he got the minutes in the legs. See, for his performance, I just thought, who cares? Like, that wasn't the focus of this. This is all about getting him as match fit as possible and then hoping he can have a game-changing moment. Would it have been nice for him to have played a wee bit better? Yes. Do I make any sort of judgment on him, though, for it? No. Don't know why I'm now talking like Gordon Strachan.
I know you're answering your own questions. Did I like Kyogo up front? Aye. Would I like to see get some minutes? Aye. Do I think he will? No. Man. Pull yourself together. I know Martin O'Neill was on a rival podcast. He can't just go jumping onto Gordon Strachan's bandwagon.
I know. Get that klaxon made, Phil. But I mean, I think from the old perspective is he's got to be fit enough to be able to contribute if we were in that doomsday scenario, which I think Kieran's right to bring up as a possibility. Kyogo gets clattered. Now, this is where it comes down to two things in these games. I like to think as Celtic fans, our heroes, or the reason, our ideology of the Dream Celtic team is playing the sort of football we do right now, okay? And it's about beating them at football. Don't get me wrong, talking about Martin O'Neill. That was when he levelled up a wee bit. He felt the biggest thing he'd seen from the season that had just been, from what he'd watched, he felt Rangers were far too physical, far too physically dominant. So he decided to try and sort of not just match that, but go even one better, which it turns out when you look at what he did at Aston Villa, it's just kind of a Martin O'Neill default thing, you know. 4 centre-backs was his back four. Mind that? 4 centre-backs, that was his back four. But that aside, there was so many good footballers in there that we were never going to become just a blood and thunder team. Do you know what I mean? We could mix it. But
Yeah.
I think in these games, I still think it doesn't matter what continent these players are all coming from. I still think you can see Celtic and Rangers for what they are in these games. And it doesn't matter what year we get to. I think there's traits between these two sides that are just steeped there. And theirs will be, how hard can we boot them? Big Lundstrom right now sharpening his studs. Do you know what I mean? And it's like that.
Yep.
It's like it's in the DNA of these teams. It's so hard to think, how have we ended up with a concoction of players from every corner of the globe, yet they play the Celtic way? How come Rangers in 2023, with all the various players they'll assign from various lower leagues in England, no offence, how come they come up, and so many of them, I'm not saying all of them, that would be a bit wrong, but how come so many of them seem to be cut from that? Exactly what you would expect. Exactly what you, in my mind anyway, and I am biased, but I look at Celtic as the footballing team, them as the sort of the hammer throwers, if you like. Do you know what I mean? That they'll turn the game into that if they can again this Sunday, which is frightening to think. You know, for all this guy's a genius tactician and all that, apparently, that if they can, they'll know deep down, they'll be acutely aware, Jonathan. Right? They'll be acutely aware Celtic's a better footballing team than us. Right? It's just the way it is. That is the landscape that we're in. And I'm not saying that to be overly green tinted. It's just that's the way it is. So how do we level it? Back to default, back to being staunch, back to being the Rangers that we would like kind of have in our heads what they are. And that will come from the get-go. That's how to do it. They think they are very much. Do you think Ange Postecoglou's ever went to any of these players? Lay a marker. No. But that is what will be in their mindset. Lay a marker, all this stuff in 19 canteens, you know what I mean? And that's what we'll be up against. And the one thing I will say is, the likes of Kyogo, and we'll use him because he went off after a couple of minutes, you need to have the stomach for that bit as well. Now, I want us to out-football them, if that makes sense, Jonathan, in any way, shape, or form. I do. I want us to win our way. But I want us to be tough enough to be able to deal with what I'm expecting to be brought to them. And that will be that physicality, that, you know, let your opposite number know you're in the game, sir, and all that shit. Do you know what I mean? Like that is what you're up against. We need to have the stomach for that too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think when you're looking at Rangers, you know how they're going to try and get to us. They're going to try and dominate as many of the positions they can. They'll try and get a grip on the midfield, I would think, similar to what they've done previously when they have had success and they tried to bully us in that sort of area, which is why I think Aaron Moy is an almost certainty to start to try and give us a little bit more physicality. And there no rival will drop out for Aaron Moy to be accommodated. I think when you're looking at Kyogo up front, I'm hoping he's now got to terms, you know, with what to expect in this type of game, because there's no doubt about it, Kyogo is going to get kicked and clattered all over the pitch. He's got to expect that, you know, going into this, whether it turns out to be true or not, that the referees aren't going to give you very much. You cannot be expecting the referees to be bailing you out, because it doesn't always happen in Scottish football for whatever reason. I know everyone's got their own views on that, but Nick Walsh and John Beaton and VAR do not fill me with confidence that they are going to give us the rub of the green if, you know, hard tackles are getting made, that we're going to see, you know, Rangers players punished as severely as perhaps they should be for something like that. So I think,
Stephen comes in though, Jonathan, just sorry to interrupt, because I think this is really important. Just straight back to you, mate. He's looking forward to the first exchange between Johnston and his opposition number. Now, I was out of my walk trying to achieve my 10,000 steps for the day, Jonathan, and I always think of talking points at that moment in time. You get lost in your reimagination. One of my thoughts, Steve, was so funny you've put that there. I was like, I'm thinking about Alistair Johnston's first. You know what I mean? He's the guy in that team, I think, who brings that bit of dig, you know, and I think he'll definitely be, if anyone was going to be laying a marker and all that shite, I think Johnston would definitely be the boy. But you need that balance in your team as well. Mm-hmm. This isn't a criticism. We've got so many gifted footballers, and Johnston is a gifted footballer too. But from what we've seen of him so far, very early days, he does seem to have an appetite, firstly, for the physicality side, an appetite, and he definitely can back it up. I like that. And to be in the team, to spread, you need to have that spreading of, you know what I mean, like different characteristics in the team, Jonathan. And I think his is definitely, Steve. Well, I'm glad you said that, because it was one of my, honestly, talking points. Anyway, Alistair Johnston. I'm looking forward to seeing him in this fixture again because he was so impressive at Ibrox that day.
Yeah, I think Alistair Johnston's just going to be one of those players, for want of a better word, that we use in Scottish football that just gets it. And I think he's just going to be one of those ones who'll take to this like a fish to water. I don't think he's going to have any problems whatsoever of understanding this. I don't think he's the type who's going to be flinching. If Rangers try any hardball tactics on him, I don't think Rangers are going to target him for that sort of treatment in the same way they will others in the team, because they know he'll give a little back. And I think it's important Celtic do have players in their team that can mix it up a little bit if the game does go down that route. But as you rightly said previously, for Celtic to win this game, they don't want to turn it into a sort of battle. That's what Rangers are going to try and do. It's Celtic's job to make sure we play the ball around too quickly to allow them to turn the game into a sort of ding-dong head-to-head battle where it just becomes about the physicality of the game, because there's no doubt Rangers will be playing to their strengths and we'll be playing into their hands by engaging in that side of the game. So I think from Celtic's point of view, they just have to go out there and they have to be able to play through that sort of hard tackling that you're going to have to expect, and just don't let the players get near them. Celtic have proven over the last few weeks they are quick enough on the ball to move it fast enough that the Rangers players won't have a chance to clatter them. The ball will already be gone before they do. And you'd like to think if the ball's already gone and they do come through them, then that forces the referee's hand to give a booking. If that's the case, it's not one of these 50-50 challenges where, maybe it could have been it's a clear yellow card when it comes to that. You give the referee no option on situations like that. And I think when you're looking at it, as well as I touched upon with the wingers, Russell, I mean, for me, I think he's probably going to go Jota Maeda, I think. Although I do think he could throw the curveball of Abada in there as well. I think Abada's the joker card because Abada is the one who gives Barrett
the silent assassin.
Nightmares.
Silent assassin.
Abada's the joker card.
I think this was getting spoke about the weekend. Forgive me. I think we were talking about this. Maybe I'm just making stuff up now. I think that we had a discussion about could Hacksaw be the joker card, because out the 11, I do still feel there will be something that Ange has to put in there that mixes it up a bit, that maybe we go, what are you doing, mate? I didn't expect that. Do you think Haksabanovic could be that guy? I think there's chances, mate, of something. Maybe it doesn't necessarily need to be Hacksaw, right? But let's generalise the question a wee bit more. Do you think there will be another one of the curveballs in the 1-11? I do.
Yes. No, I think he's going to do something with it. I'm not quite so sure whether it'll be Haksabanovic or not, just because I'm not sure if Haksabanović's character matches the same up with the other wingers Ange Postecoglou has at his disposal, and I'm only basing that on the fact he doesn't really get an awful lot of game time compared to the other wingers ahead of him does. So I think that would be a massive shocker if he does include Haksabanović from the start, but it could end up being in a good way, not necessarily saying that's a bad thing.
Said James Forrest last time, Michael reminding us there. He tried to cover the Ibrox, it didn't work, and I've got to agree with Michael on that,
Oh, no, it didn't.
We absolutely love Ange. He got it wrong, in my opinion, and I don't know if that was a self-indulgent decision. I don't know if that was just to try and catch Rangers off guard. If, when I was talking about different characteristics, if that was maybe the blend he needed of experience in the team of this fixture, and he just thought it's maybe lacking in elsewhere. Was it because Juranovic is a shite bag in these? No, Johnston started it right back. He was making his debut, so maybe he
may have wanted more protection. I think
most experienced player in the team is Forrest, believe it or not, even more than Cal Mack. So maybe having him in front was just putting a wee bit of comfort in Ange's mind that he'll have that assistance. It didn't work. It backfired, and it didn't work for me. Do I think Ange, though, is capable of producing another decision like that? And would I back him to get it to be proven right if he did? That's the interesting thing. Whilst I don't think it would come in the form of James Forrest, I do think there might be something in there that maybe we all go, oh, all right. Didn't see that coming, Ange. And then this time, though, it being, that's the guy who's getting the man of the match of the world at the end of the game and he's got everyone raving about him. Speaking of Jonathan, of, who awards man of the matches and who's done that, Steve made a comment about half an hour ago, which I favorited. Thanks, Phil, for showing me how to use my own
Wow,
platform.
you are becoming a technical guru these days. It's impressive.
I know, I only took it over
Like
a
watching
year
a chimpanzee evolving into a human being before my eyes.
Thanks, mate. Viaplay, at it, or Viaplay, whatever it is, at it, and he's saying that in a good way. Hiring Sutton as an interviewer, papping Beale next to Ange after he snash. Box office. Now, Sutton's part of that media team. Viaplay just hire the same media team that BT Sport Scotland used. Right, that was what that is. So they all come. Like you can have like Sutton, Michael Stewart, all that, Ali McCoist, all that carry on, Daryl Curry. All of that, they can all do it in the commentator. What's his name?
Rory someday.
Yeah, that's it.
Rory Hamilton or something. I want to say
that
something.
That sounds good.
Well, we'll go with Rory Hamilton. Why not? Sure.
So they kind of come as that package if they're all up for it. So Sutton I expected to be involved in the build-up, but I think Steve was right actually. And we need to remember the one thing we always liked about BT Sports coverage, if not the fact they did not want to treat Scottish football with respect with their bid for it, which I've explained on this channel many a times. I know that for a fact. They bid less for the full rights than what they paid for half the rights. That's from the horse's mouth because I worked for them. But when it comes to this actual media production team, when you got that, mate, we loved how many I thought things you didn't expect to see. By BT, we're getting done by BT Sports, and this is another sort of thing about that. Putting the two managers together is unprecedented, but I'm all for it as well. I did think it looked weird, and I did think instantly like cringe and all that, but I get it from a a content producer like me, Jonathan. That's a joke. That is a joke, right? But I get the draw of doing that, and I get why they're doing it. From their point of view, they're going, "This is brilliant," and then to add to the mix, Sutton interviewing Beale. Chelsea's worst ever footballer getting the chance to interview Mickey Beale. I am getting flashbacks, Johnston, of when this same media production team decided to plant Pedro Cachina into the lion's den, if you will, and put him in with Sutton and the other. Remember, they were all standing up holding the microphone.
Well, it's hard the lions there, Russell. We'll start to go see
there was lions there, was there? No, I know. But it was like they were all standing, and you just seen Cachino's trying to, I don't care about Celtic. You just said you're the best team in the country. Who in the Celtic team wouldn't get a game for Rangers? And he just schooled them. And I wonder if that's in the back of their mind going, oh, as soon as Mickey Beale says that, I think we should get Sutton to interview him. Fucking right, that'll work. I like it.
He ties himself up in knots, Mickey Beale, so Chris Sutton will just go and unravel them knot by knot with every question he asks. It'll end up being an absolute box office. It'll be the perfect undercard before the main event. And if Celtic get the job done and Sutty's doing the post-match interviews, then oh my goodness, we're going to be in for some popcorn material, because that will be just something you don't want to miss. It'll probably end up becoming like a clip as part of our intro further down the line, because it will be that good. It'll be that good. Sutton he just won't mince his words, and he's probably already got everything planned out to a T as to what he wants to say in terms of questions as well. Chris Sutton is not somebody you want to get into a war of words with, and I think that's another example of Michael Beale inexperience coming through and trying to pander to the masses, because the masses at Rangers don't like Chris Sutton and they don't think he talks sense, and that's him trying to win them over. But what he's done whilst doing that is also poke Chris Sutton in the eye, and poking Chris Sutton in the eye is not.
Did you read his article? Did you read Sutton's article?
Yeah, I've read it, and Sutton doesn't miss. No. Sutton doesn't miss when it comes to things like that. He's still got the finishing touch when it comes to writing newspaper articles. And,
what did he say? He said I had to spend 10 minutes on Google trying to find out who Michael Beale had played for in his career.
Savage.
£10 million Chelsea player, do you know what I mean? He did score against Man United. Whilst the move didn't work out, he was already a Golden Boot winner in the Premier League by then, and a title winner. Come on, Mickey, behave. But yeah, I think that, when it comes to the media company, that Viaplay are using, I do think there will be moments like that will be golden, and that'll be an indicator as well if they do that, as to whether the banter years are really back or not, which we're all hoping they are. Andy McGinnigal, he says though he couldn't give a flying F about Sutton and Beale. We need to give this mob a severe slap on Sunday and put them in their place. All this media nonsense means now It's a bit of fun, Andy. Come on.
It is a bit of fun, and I think
It's like
to
a
be
bit of fun
fair,
on a Tuesday or Monday. What day is it?
it's actually almost changed the narrative, and I think Postecoglou will be quite happy with how this has gone going into the final. It's changed the narrative almost away from Postecoglou versus Beale. It's almost created a whole separate narrative of Beale versus Sutton now because Beale is getting the rise from Sutton that he's been trying. He's been putting the fishing line out for weeks on Ange Postecoglou, and he's not quite getting the bite that he wants. In fact, the shark is now circling the waters and getting ready to capsize his boat in Ange Postecoglou. He thinks he's fishing for a little trout. He doesn't realise what's coming his way. It's fucking Jaws that's about to hit the side of his boat.
Love it.
And, I think when we're looking at it from that point of view, Chris Sutton's quite happy to play the role of just being that sideshow that is distracting him whilst the shark circles around the boat. Chris Sutton is quite happy to offer himself up as bait to Mickey Beale, turn his focus onto Chris Sutton, and then Ange Postecoglou will have the last laugh on Sunday, without even really having to get involved in the whole media circus and just being left to focus on the team, which frankly is quite clearly what Ange Postecoglou prefers doing, because you can tell in recent weeks he's been a bit fed up with the media, hasn't he?
Well, he's been fed up with the media, but I think he despairs when he's getting asked questions about other teams and other people's comments, and he's like, honestly, I don't care. And that's because he's got his ace in the back pocket, and that'll be what Celtic do on Sunday. That's what in his mind, right? He'll be thinking, I'll let the team do the talking, at Hampden Park. Do you know what I mean? That'll do for me. That'll be the best answer I can give. So I do think he feels there's a bit of stir in the pot going on right now. But you know what? It has added to it a wee bit. I think it gives it that bit more spice. The fact that we have maybe a manager there that's, a bit naive, but a talker. Do you know what I mean? He just speaks all the time. All he does is talk. He must be a nightmare. He just talks all the time, even in his sleep, just talks. But it has added an extra dimension to it, to be fair, that I think will make it a wee bit more of a spectacle. And of course, from our point of view, make it all the sweeter when we win, right, Jonathan? 47 minutes in. Speaking of Chris Sutton, it's time for Sutton Death. Phil McKinley is here.
The second biggest event of the week.
Hello, boys. How you doing?
Good, mate. How are you?
Very well, Phil. Very well.
Smashing as always. Monday, Tuesday, doesn't matter. Always up for this segment. Always up for it. So it's going to be a good one tonight. I've been promising this is a good question. So it's good. I can see the fear already in your eyes, though, because you don't know. You're all like, oh, God,
I never know
coming?
when you say
What's
good
coming?
question if it's just going to be some sort of junk about name the Celtic team that played Fulham in 2004 in the friendly before the season began, if we're going to get something box office. But I'm all ears. I'm always interested, Phil.
Oh, well, we'll see how it goes tonight, Jono, because you got the win last week. So obviously 10-8 at the moment. So you've got a wee bit of momentum again, closing that gap, keeping your brother within.
Turning the comments off.
Yes, comments off, guys, because it is that time. Even though, yes, it is a Tuesday night tonight, it's still time for a bit of Sutton Death. The Brothers Boyce about to engage in their penalty shootout style competition. As I just said there, it's currently 10-8 to Russell. So, Jonathan's been in worse position so far this season. He's pulled it back. So he's
more embarrassing.
He's hoping to continue that momentum tonight. So, yeah, the boys, if you haven't seen this before, they get 5 shots each. I've also got a question, lots of multiple answers to it. Get a right answer, they score a goal. And of course, if they get a wrong answer, they miss. And whoever is ahead at the end of we'll go to a maximum of 10 if needs be. I've also got another tiebreaker question lined up as well. So let's get all the aesthetics in place as we do. Background's changed.
And the usual testing 1 2 1 2 for the music volume.
Yeah, see if we're going to the food bar tonight or if we're actually playing Sunday.
It cannot be trusted after that the other week. I have no idea what was going on.
Bizarre, eh? I could hear you fine. And everyone in the comments was like, what?
What is going on? Yeah, StreamYard's just having an absolute mad one. So yeah, let's try it now. So I'll just adjust the volume as low as I can. Music, and let's see what we get. Okay, do you guys hear me okay?
I can.
Yep, I can hear yous. Let's see if anyone in the comments is.
Let us know.
Yeah, Paul Dye is saying volume's fine. Okay, cool. Nice one. All right, good stuff. So we are ready to go. So, as I always ask you, whoever wins, obviously, Jonathan, you won last week. So, are you going first this week?
I absolutely am, yes.
Okay, no worries at all. So, tonight's question, I've got some source material for you to show you first of what this is about and what the link is as to why we're doing this. So, tonight's question all revolves around, or it's been inspired by this.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Okay, Doc. So obviously the Bhoycie Bus shirt, which you can get now, by, as Russell said at the start, emailing crookedarm@ymail.com, the PayPal account, and you can send your money to that and so forth. That's where you get them from.
Yes.
But tonight, here's your source material, because obviously that is based on the famous Bumblebee kit. And we've had 2 Bumblebee kits in our history. And for reference, this is them. 2008, 2009, and 1996, 97. So, gentlemen, I want you to dig deep into your mind right now and imagine that kit. Think of the players in it. I want you to name any player that scored a goal wearing one of those kits.
Oh my God.
There are 25 Celtic players that scored a goal in a competitive game wearing either the 96-97, which we also had the next season as our away kit, or 2008-2000, or 2009-2010, and then we had it as our third kit in 2010-11. So that is the years. That's all I can really tell you. And by the way, Peter Grant and Mark Process are not right answers.
No, I knew that.
They are not right answers. They're just 2 that I found, and I was like, bingo, that's what I need. So any player who scored in a competitive game wearing either of those kits, there are 25 of them.
Okay, so when was the first season from?
96-97.
96-97. Okay. So I'm going to start off. I think this guy scored in one. I'm going to say Scott Brown.
Strange first choice.
Brown is an interesting first choice, and it's a wrong first choice. Oh, it's a miss. Jonathan's blazed that one over the bar into the stands.
Oh, I thought he scored a penalty with that one. In my head.
Jonathan, I don't like that answer. He's rattled, guys. I'm going to go George Cadetti.
Yeah, George Cadet, yeah. It's a correct one, yep.
Puts the ball in the netty.
Yeah.
Unlike Scott Brown.
I'm going to say Samaras.
Georgios Samaras is a correct answer. Yes, he had scored wearing one.
We spoke about this the other week, Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Emirates, Donati.
Mo Donati, we were wearing that kit that night.
No,
yes, we were.
And we were talking about that game.
Mo Donati did score a consolation that night, correct?
I'm struggling to think of many that actually scored in this. I'm going to say Aidan McGeady.
Aidan McGeady.
He's miles away.
Incorrect answer.
What's happening to you? I'll go easy. I would make it easy. I've said Cadetti so far. Do you want another easy one, Phil? How does Robbie Keane sound?
Oh, yeah.
Robbie Keane.
He's all over the place.
Correct. So it's 3-1 after 3 shots. So, Jono, do you need this or it's over?
What's happened? I thought I was hungover. What is happening?
Fortuny?
Yeah, Marc-Antoine Fortuny is correct. So that means that Russell, if you scored this, then yeah, you've won.
Kamara, come on, Diamansi Kamara, he scored in that kick. I can see it now.
Diamansi Kamara, yeah, it's correct. It's a 4-2. So, Jonathan,
all I can say is you're better than that, mate. That was awful.
I struggle with remembering things with kits. I didn't have a memory for that.
That's just.
I couldn't even remember the seasons, to be honest. I was trying to think who even played when I was thinking of those kits. I couldn't think of anything. There's no iconic goal that stands out for me in them. You know that? No iconic goal.
Yeah, to be fair,
to be fair, there was 30 odd by Cadetti. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, like, come on.
Well, do you want the list of all the answers that were possible?
Was it? Go for the rest, Phil.
Andreas Tom, Anthony Stokes, Chris Killen, Gary Caldwell, Gary Hooper, Henrik Larsson.
Yeah, I wasn't sure on Henrik because that would have been
the stop the 10 season.
Yeah. So we didn't wear it as often that season. It was only a handful, a very small amount of times. So I wasn't sure because
Malky Mackay's a right answer.
Malcolm McCann, bloody hell.
Mark Reaper is a correct answer.
Ooh, okay.
Aye. Another Dane, Morten Rasmussen, is a correct answer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Niall McGinn, Paddy McCourt scored a few cracking goals wearing that kit.
Paddy McCourt, yes.
Paul McGowan, Paulo Di Canio.
He pops up a lot.
Phil O'Donnell, Pierre Van Hooydonk, Scott McDonald, Sean Maloney, Simon Donnelly, and Zheng Ji. A great goal in the second day of the season in 2010 wearing it. We wore it at Tynecastle.
I liked him as a player, by the way. I thought he was good.
Yeah. So there you go. I liked him. Decent player.
But I mean, Jonathan, we're meant to still be playing right now. We're only 55 minutes, and that's it. So because of that absolute disaster.
Well, I thought Scott Brown might have scored a penalty in the round then. I couldn't really remember.
Scott Brown scored about 8 goals for Celtic in 12 years. Why the hell would you go for him?
I don't know why. I had a vision of him scoring in that kit. I don't know.
He definitely played in that kit because he was there in the Mowbray season, and that was our away kit under Mowbray, and the third kit under Lenny the next season. But no goals.
No goals.
That was a shame. That was a shame. Right, lads, we'll just call it there a wee bit early because guess what? We're back tomorrow morning for the breakfast bar.
Mm-hmm.
We never stop. As much as I'd like to on a Wednesday morning. I'll be back tomorrow. Steve-O's joining us tomorrow, and Johnny Logue is back. So I'm really looking forward to getting a wee blether with Johnny because I've not spoke to him in ages. He's been training for his new job. And then Steve-O's off his work now, so he was like, I'll dive on too. David can't make it. He's building an empire. And I think Regan's back at uni. Regan, let me know if you're not. You're more than welcome on, son. But yeah, tomorrow, 8:30 in the morning, I will be live doing the breakfast bar before my shift at work. Do you know what I mean? Commitment, Jonathan. Do you know what I mean? Absolute commitment. It's just going to be a repeat of this, though, because it was in such close proximity. Just going to say, honestly,
the repeat. It's like match of the day when you get the repeat the next morning.
Well,
For those of you that was up too late, you can catch up tomorrow morning.
Do I like the breakfast bar? No. Right, we will call it there. It's been brilliant. Thanks to everyone in the comments, as always, by the way. It was lively in there tonight, and I really do appreciate so many of you, jumping on the bus, even on the wrong night. It's brilliant, and we will see some of you bright and early in the morning. Hail, hail.
Well, you've all that stuff at the start. They won't be playing Tina Turner on the coach on the way home, will they?
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now. And you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan. He's a Rangers puppet. He's a cheerleader. That's what he is.